Well, grade 6-7, we have done it. We have finished the number strand. Let's all give ourselves a round of applause. All right, so we are starting with patterns and relations now. And we're going to look at something called an input and output machine first. So it says, look at this input and output machine. Any number that is put into this machine is multiplied by 5, right? So our inputs, okay, are normally right here, all right? And our outputs are right here. And then our machine is in the middle here with an equation usually. And here it's times 5, okay? So when you input 6, the output is 30. So what we did was the input is 6, we multiply it by 5 because every one of them is, and we get 30, okay? When you input 9, it says, what would our output be? So try to pause it here and figure that out. However, what you would probably do is you'd go 9, because that's the input, times 5, which is our pattern, and you would get 45. Now, input-output machines are pretty easy when you have a table. So here we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll go up to 8, okay? And what we're noticing is that we're going to take our input and multiply it by 5 to get our output. So here we got 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. And what are you guys noticing? I hope it's that it's going up by 5 each time. So I don't even need to keep doing the equation. I can just go up by 5 each time, as you'll see. So looking back at, if we add number 9 here, we would go up by 245, just like it said in our equation here. So what you can do with these input-output machines is once you know the pattern that's in here, you can find out any output of any input. Let's say I wanted to find out 20. Okay, I wanted to go all the way to 20 and I wanted to find out the output of 20. I would do 20 times 5, which is 100. So if I made rows all the way to 20 here, my number on the other side would be 100. So we can make a input-output machine to make a growing pattern, all right? So, oh, my bad, guys. This machine adds 8 to each input to get the output. So basically, we have our input here, we have our machine up here, and we have our output here. So what we're saying is that our input, 1, plus the pattern up top, is going to equal the output. So 1 plus 8 equals 9. 2 plus 8 equals 10. 3 plus 8 equals 11. And 4 plus 8 equals 12. So the pattern rule that relates the input to the output is we add 8 to the input. So if I asked to do what would 5 be, you'd go 5 plus 8 and you'd get 13. Okay? You could go, what's the output of the input 10? Well, we're doing 10 plus 8, so it's 18. All right? So that's one of the things you look for always, is the pattern rule that relates the input and the output. Okay? We also want to look at each input and what it's increasing by, okay, which is 1. So our pattern here is that each input goes up by 1, okay? Now the pattern rule for the output is we are going up by 1 as well, okay? It says here, the pattern rule for the input is start at 1 and add 1 each time. The pattern rule for the output is start at 9 and add 1 each time. So that's what you want to identify when you're doing these little equations, and you always want to find a pattern. So here, it wouldn't be 1 times 9 and then 2 times 9, because 2 times 9 would be 18. So this wouldn't make sense for our output up here, okay? Okay, you can also have input-output machines with 2 equations, okay? So here, all right, our input-output machine, we multiply by 2 and add 6 to each input. So it says the pattern rule that relates the input to the output is multiply the input by 2, then add 6. So the pattern rule with inputs and outputs, okay, is always going to be this up here. Okay, so now we look at our table here and we go 2 times 2 plus 6 is 10. 4 times 2 plus 6 is 14. 6 times 2 plus 6 is 18. And 8 times 2 plus 6 is 22. So the pattern rule for the input is we start at 2 and we add 2 each time this time. We didn't go up by 1. We went 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay? The pattern rule for the output is we start at 10 and we add 4 each time. So if I said, all right, I want to find out 10 now. I'm going to do 10 as my input, and I'm going to do times 2 plus 6, and my output is going to be 26. Okay? As you can see, though, I went up 4 each time. So if I said 11 here, or sorry, 12, okay, I would say 30 here because I added 4 to my next input. So we're going to do a couple little examples here with just the input of 1, okay? So here my pattern rule for the input is we increase by 1, starting at 1. Okay, that's pretty easy, all right? Now, what is my pattern rule that relates my input to my output? So that's what you got to figure out. Okay, we go up by 6 in this equation here. So it could be add by 6. Let's check that out. 1 plus 6 is 7, so that won't be the answer. Okay, so we have to find something with 1 that's going to equal the 6, and then 2 with 12. So I'm going to try times 6 up top here. Okay, when you go up by something, guys, here's a little hint. You're probably going to multiply, okay? You could add, but that's usually a second equation. So here, we went up by 6. So my input to output pattern is go up by, multiply by 6. 3 times 6 is 18, 4 times 6 is 24, and 5 times 6 is 30. So we can see that this was the correct input to output pattern. Now, what's my output pattern? My output pattern is start at 6 and multiply the input by 6. Okay, so we go up 6 each time. All right, so that's one example with our input-out machines and one equation. Now let's do another one. All right, so we have our inputs, okay, and we have it goes in, increases by 1. Start at 1, okay? And for each question, guys, you want to do this, which is the input pattern, the output pattern, and our input to output pattern. All right. So here, my output pattern, you guys, as you can see, it goes 5 to 7, okay? And then we go to 9, 11, 13, 15, okay? It goes up by 2 each time. That's what you need to find out, all right? So here, we start at 5. This is what the answer would be. And go up by 2, okay? So if I said, what is my output for 7, you would say 17, okay? If I said for 20, let's figure this out, because now we can do this. So what we need to do is, we need to see it's going up by 2. So I'm going to guess that it's multiply by 2, okay? So 1 times 2 is 2. And now what do? You're going to add, okay, 3. Let's try that out. So now we're going to do 2 times 2 is 4, plus 3 is 7. 3 times 2 plus 3 is 9. 4 times 2 plus 3 is 11. 5 times 2 plus 3 is 13. 6 times 2 plus 3 is 15. And 7 times 2 plus 3 is 17. So let's go to 20 now. We can figure it out. So we're going to do 20 times 2 is 40, plus 3 is 43. So my output for the input 20 should be 43. Okay, let's do one more. 11. Okay, we want to find out the output for 11 in this pattern. So we could keep going with our table, or we can know that the formula is 11 times 2, which is 22, plus 3, which is 25. So your questions for your assignment are going to be a lot like this. Okay, you're going to have to find out the patterns for the input, the output, and our input-output machine. All right, best of luck, guys. If you have any questions, let me know. And well done.